Mr. Gordon Shah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to ask the Shadow Minister for Defence to explain the rationale of decreasing defence expenditure. That's one. The second, how will temporary financial aid, medicine, and other welfare policies ensure and assure NSFs to serve the NS with an unburdened mind, as mentioned in the shadow budget? Thirdly, how are the current safety nets and welfare policies for the NS men not serving its purpose? And fourthly, what is the distinction between what you are proposing and what is already in existence? Thank you.
Shadow Minister for Defence.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for my counterpart for such a concise question. The rationale for decreasing defence expenditure is simple. Military defence is an important but singular part for the continued survival and prosperity of Singapore, and that given the impending economic storm on the horizon, it would be foolish not to divert some resources to other defences that will be more sorely tested, if at least on temporarily. However, we in the opposition acknowledge the importance of our country's military capabilities, and we do not wish to weaken it, and thus we are not suggesting budget cuts to Singapore's current investments in defensive technologies. Rather, given the advancement in our military technology, we believe that it is possible for the training time of NSS or National Service full-time personnel to be cut down from the current 2 years with changes made to the NS Men scheme and the ICT or in-camp training system. This not only gives us direct economic benefits by saving on the amount of money needed to pay for them, but also indirectly by allowing them to enter tertiary education faster and to allow them to be more competitive in the Singaporean and global economy. I hope this answers Clause A. Now on to Clause B. In the Meet the People session I have on Ubin Tekong with my constituency members, I am heartened to find that the majority are committed to the defence of our nation. However, as not all of them have significant annual income such as yourself, a significant proportion of them and or their family members face problems such as low income, involvement in criminal activities, health problems, mental stress, and a host of other problems, of which a lot of them have money, the lack of it as the root cause. And these, we believe, can be remedied by the initiatives stated as above, which are only a fraction of what we can do for these men who are training to serve their country. Now, a happy soldier trains hard to fight, and if necessary, to die for his community, because he knows that his community in turn looks after him well. That is the basic mentality in which the SAF and in fact all militaries function, and that is what we are trying to further instill in our soldiers with these policies. Now, on to Clause C of the question. The current safety nets are insufficient because although the SAF covers the welfare of its personnel comprehensively on paper, it does not translate well on the ground. Often, due to economic or bureaucratic reasons, or even the simple understaffing of personnel, not all SAF personnel get their needs met quickly and comprehensively. For example, the SAFDB, or the Singapore Armed Forces Detention Barracks, does not have many professional counsellors dedicated to rehabilitate detainees, but rather relies on SAF personnel and repeated physical training or sandbag PT as is known to do so. This is not always the best technique for all detainees and will result in a significant proportion of the detainees becoming repeat offenders. We believe that the system is moderately efficient but can be tweaked further in accordance to the high standards of the SAF as a third-generation fighting force. Lastly, to Clause D, generally, what we seek to do is to ensure care for soldiers is to ensure ways to make support more abundant for NSS as well as more accessible, to create and enforce more stringent welfare standard operating procedures, and to outsource to a greater extent, certain extent, such as vehicle maintenance and fitness training to civilian agencies who are more capable and is better incentivized to carry it out. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Shadow Minister for Defence. Ms. Jesselyn Zeng.
Thank Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I would like to ask the Shadow Minister for Environment and Water Resources to clarify the statement in the Shadow Budget, which states that a major study of Singapore's water channeling system should ensure that the current installations are close to 100% utility before embarking on more expensive solutions. Is the opposition merely concentrating on improving current installations instead of exploring new methods? Thank you.
Shadow Minister for the Environment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I'd firstly like to begin by thanking the Honourable Minister for her question. I'm working under the assumption that all members of the House are very much aware of the incidents that have transpired in June 2010, 2011, as well as December 2011 in Orchard Road and other low-lying areas around Singapore. The opposition understands the dire need for new and more robust options from preventing such incidents from recurring. However, we do believe that such expensive solutions presented by the Ministry for Environment and Water Resources in Parliament in January 2012 should be preceded by extensive research and studies. Are we concentrating on improving current installations? The answer is yes. Instead of exploring new methods, in a nutshell, that we believe that the government should conduct extensive research of which the results should be made public prior to embarking on such options. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Shadow Minister. Ms. Shirley Chin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I would like to ask the Shadow Minister for Health that considering that dental service is very specialized, what types of dental services does the opposition propose to be made more affordable? And how much more affordable does the opposition consider to be fit, while considering the need to not waste resources and without sacrificing the benefits of specialized professionals in this profession? Thank you.
Shadow Minister for Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of Parliament, there are two types of health problems in our world. One is one that is life-threatening, and another one is one that is aesthetically displeasing. Members of Parliament, today I'm going to talk about two types of dental services that we want to improve. One is for those like tooth decay that can actually cause death problems. In certain cases of tooth decay, the bacteria from tooth decay can actually penetrate the gums, enter the brain, and cause cerebral infection. And this can actually cause severe complications and even lead to death. Ladies and gentlemen, the group I'm going to talk about today is the poor people on the streets. These people are elderly. These people do not have the capability to work because they are disabled. And because of that, they cannot afford to pay for such services. But ladies and gentlemen, I know there is MediSave, there's MediShield, and there's MediFund. But these things have actually made the cost extremely low. But these people, ladies and gentlemen, do not have a stable income. And even that low cost has become unaffordable for them. In other words, we propose that these things like tooth decay be more subsidized. But as I said earlier, the cost that we have to subsidize is very low because these people, what they cannot afford for now, right, is only a little more from what is already subsidized. In other words, increasing subsidies for this group of people will not actually affect our budget, and will not affect our budget to a large extent. Ladies and gentlemen, let's do this maths together. For example, okay, there are about 1,000 people living in the streets today. 1,000 people living in the streets 1,000 people living in one-room flats, three-room flats in areas like Bedok and places of Singapore. And these people in places of Singapore. So 1,000 plus 1,000, 2,000. Let's say we subsidize half of what is already subsidized, half of their cost, which is, let's say, dentures, which helps the elderly who eat. Let's say we cut half this subsidy. From 600, we cut half to 300. And now we times 300 times 2,000. We get about 6 million, which is actually 0.001 of our GDP, which is not much of an increase to our subsidy. So in other words, this will actually not sacrifice any benefit or to our society, and would actually, and ladies and gentlemen, these people, the needs of these people of our society will be met. As our society wants to cultivate love, but ladies and gentlemen, we must remember these people of our society and remember them and allow them to afford medical care. Thank you.
Thank you, Shadow Minister.